Our next speaker is Amy Erixon, and she's going to provide a detailed examination and critical analysis of how technology is transforming and disrupting the space we own, manage, and operate. She joined Avison Young in August of 2010 to develop the company's cross-border and investment management activity. Since then, Amy has launched a number of products and separate accounts working across property sectors in 4 countries. Our thanks to Altus Group for sponsoring her innovative presentation today. Amy?
Benjamin, that was totally awesome, and I agree with everything you said, but now we're going to take a break from that and do something really uplifting. And I don't usually speak from notes, but I am today because there's so much material I want to cover, and I'm going to try and make up some time here. So I'm an unapologetic fan of technology, and I believe in the brightness of our future because I'm an optimist. I believe that these times are absolutely the most exciting and opportunistic of my lifetime in the development business. Now, I asked Informa if we could outfit everyone with VR glasses so that I could give this presentation in state-of-the-art technology, and they told me maybe next year, so be sure and put that in your comments at the end. So I'd like to see a show of hands. How many people made it to the ULI conference last week? Great, a few. So they had this demo set up that was just fantastic. So you could test drive this kind of equipment, VR, AR, and they even had holograms. These technologies are improving at an absolutely amazing pace. Architecture, construction, development, marketing, and even investment management are transforming before our eyes. We're making the jump from being able to view projects on screen to actually being able to be in them and walk around in them and do the design and do the planning in situ in real time. AR and VR developers are now adding game software to these systems so that they're much more interactive, and it really amps up the emotion of the experience. Now, I'm going to show you a couple videos so you can get a feeling for how this works, but this is 2D, and you really need to try it out to experience how emotionally powerful it is. And it won't surprise you that they're using this technology in Vancouver to sell condos in China, but I also learned recently that European banks are now using this technology to market their property syndications. So I'm going to let one run and give you a chance to see how that works. So this is an interactive system that is sort of state-of-the-art for most of us today. You can work with your architect remotely. You can try out different finishes on your interiors. If you're in the tenant rep business, you might have done this with your tenants. This is a 3D model, so that people can really get the feeling of the space. But VR is even better. You can test it in different light conditions, and you can try out a lot more variations, and it's very easy to work with. So imagine as an architect and a developer and a contractor, you're doing a value engineering session and you have this kind of tool at your disposal. It'll reduce the rework, it'll reduce the amount of time to get your plans to market and through the bid process. This is a game changer in my view. There are construction and management applications as well. Let's go to the next slide, here we go. So augmented reality are glasses where you can actually see what's around you, but it's also feeding you additional data. So if you couple an augmented reality system with online data rooms, you can call up anything from technical specs to maintenance records while you're inspecting or touring a facility. Coupled with an infrared scanner, you can see what's going on inside of the walls in either AR or VR, and combined with voice activation software, someday soon we'll have inspections where we're just walking through the site and actually talking, and it's recording all that information as we're going through. Can you imagine how thorough and quick the inspections are going to be becoming? So since around the turn of the century, we've been living in a time of unprecedented technological advancement. It doesn't even seem possible that smartphones have been around only 10 years. Given this stunning pace, the conference organizers asked me to spend some time talking about exponential technologies that are coming our way and how we need to think about adapting our properties and our service lines in order to greet them. So the primary shift that I see in the economy today is a move from offering products to offering outcomes. This is important, so I'm going to restate it. From offering products to offering outcomes. If you take Apple, for example, what exactly was their point in opening up stores? Brand awareness, showcasing their products, providing an environment where shoppers can test drive equipment like a car dealership? Or one-on-one training and expert advice, or improving the convenience and quality of the interface for servicing. Now, clearly their stores do all of that. It's also true that the online support and YouTube videos that they have available weren't achieving the outcomes that they were looking for. It's a fact. Apple stores have the highest sales per square foot of any retailer, and they generate more mall traffic than any other concept. Now, Lisa and I both posted a story last week on LinkedIn, maybe you saw them, about failing malls in the United States of America. So the article I posted talked about bringing in food trucks and concerts to try desperately to help the failing retailers that are in the house. The malls are failing for lots of reasons, among them is Amazon, but their survival depends on them keeping up with sociological and technological trends. As their service providers and landlords, our future depends on that too. It's interesting to note that according to tech industry executives, the most high-tech store in the world that was delivered last year was built in Edmonton. As you watch this video, try and pay attention to the outcomes that they're achieving. Fantastic, huh? Now, there was a time when I enjoyed shopping, but that was quite a long time ago. But I am willing to bet that if the malls of the future are full of stores like this, we're all going to find time to go there. While technology is taking away in terms of what we're experiencing currently, it also is opening up a door for us to transform our businesses from products to outcomes and drive traffic and raise our sales. So let's review some of the technologies that are disrupting the market and talk a little bit about how they're affecting real estate. So I like to, excuse me, refer to these as logistics disruptors because at a minimum, these technologies have the potential to disconnect the work activity from the current real estate in which it's housed. They affect how work gets done. And when we think about our values, we often think from a location standpoint, and so that whole formulation is going to change. For example, growth in e-commerce, while threatening tenants in shopping centers, has caused a surge in logistics facilities. And when a work function like, say, getting a mortgage gets automated and moved to the web, it goes from a branch bank onto a data center. But it's hard to really imagine how that's going to actually affect the real estate of our banks. So we're seeing a little experiment right now in downtown Toronto. CIBC is trying to abolish the cashier counters in the downtown branches. What I hear from their competitors is that's not really going that well, but it changes the footprint. If you don't have those counters and what you're doing there is mainly wealth management operations, clearly those properties are going to evolve. So where I'm going, and the takeaway I want you to have from this is this. It's likely that the conventional metrics that we've used to project future demand are going to change. We don't know how they're going to change, but they're going to change, and we need to be paying attention to this. So let's have a look at Amazon's brick-and-mortar technology and real estate solution.
Meet Amazon's newest holiday workers, the Kiva robots. At this fulfillment center in Tracy, California, more than 3,000 of them cruise the warehouse floor, helping employees fill millions of orders.
The little orange robot goes out and picks the right pot of inventory and brings it back just at the right time for the person to pick the item out to go in that customer's shipment.
Before the Kiva robots, the workers used to walk the warehouse aisles picking up the items. But now they stay on these platforms, and the robots bring the shelves and the items directly to them.
The 320-pound robots can lift up to 750 pounds. They have motion sensors to detect objects in their way and can travel between 3 and 4 miles per hour. Amazon says the robot's small footprint allows it to squeeze in 50% more inventory into this warehouse, which is the size of 59 football fields. They've also improved efficiency by 20%, so it only takes 15 minutes to fill some orders instead of 90.
On Cyber Monday last year, Amazon customers ordered 426 items every second. Amazon expects that number to be bigger this Cyber Monday.
The process at an Amazon fulfillment center starts when products arrive by the truckload. The items are sent up to one of the 4 floors where Kiva robots operate.
In this new generation fulfillment center, we have associates who are taking products off the carts and putting them onto the shelves that are moved by our Kiva robots.
A worker finds a space to stock the item on one of the moving shelves. It doesn't matter if there are paper towels next to board games, just as long as the robots know where to find it among the 21 million items. Then the robots wait to retrieve the item when someone places an order. From there, items are hand-picked and whisked away on miles of conveyor belts to be sorted, packed, and shipped. There's even a robot that folds the shipping boxes. While some may worry about robots taking jobs away from humans, Amazon insists that is not their intention.
You're going to see there's 4,000 people working in this building, even with all the automation that's in place here. That's because our focus on automation is about helping people do their jobs, not replacing people.
So far, 10 of the 50 Amazon fulfillment centers in the United States have integrated the Kiva robots. In Tracy, California, I'm Kara Suboy, CNET.com for CBS News.
Now, that video was done in 2014, and if you follow Amazon's stock, you know that they have been boosting their sales 30% year over year, and they have outfitted all of their warehouses with this. Now, just like the retail example we saw, this warehouse and that shopping center are needing to provide vastly more electric power to these operations and air conditioning and everything that goes with that. So let's drill down on a couple of other technologies before we talk about the additional physical impacts. Let's start with autonomous vehicles. So this is a list of who's working on what. What you need to know about this is level 1 is a simple assist, like cruise control or anti-lock brakes. Level 2 is more complex, like cruise control plus a lane assist. Level 3 is where the driver can hand over driving to the car in traffic to do parallel parking, but the driver can still intervene. Level 4 is when the car is fully capable of self-driving under ordinary conditions, and level 5 assumes that the vehicle's performance is equal or better than a human driver, including in extremely demanding environments like off-road conditions. So the most difficult level to program from the car maker's perspective is between level 3 and level 4, which is right where we are right now. And that's due to the need to program so many situations where the driver is likely to intervene. So Ford and Google, Waymo is Google, by the way, or Alphabet, I guess, and Apple are primarily working on level 4. They're just going to skip level 3 altogether. And Ford, interestingly, has the most experience of any manufacturer with robots working alongside humans. And I think that experience has given them insight into the difficulties and explains why they want to jump straight to level 4. So, because of the difficulty mixing human and automated technologies in mixed traffic, there's quite a bit of disagreement about how quickly autonomous vehicles, which are very close to being ready to go, will be deployed and how exactly they'll affect real estate. So in Europe, we already have experiments going on with minivans and cars in center city locations in Scandinavia and also at Heathrow Airport. Now, these are locations where human-driven cars are prohibited. These are logical deployments because parking is in short supply, and there's also a history of pedestrian-only areas. Now, in North America, drone-guided trucks and agricultural equipment are already in use, especially here in Canada, where the distances are huge and people do not live near the extracted resources. So takeaway here is that technology is deployed first where it solves a problem. So US cities have absurd amounts of their land dedicated to cars. In Los Angeles, for example, 62% of the land area is actually paved. Now, for context, it's only 25% here in Toronto, so this is more than double the amount of paving, which is why LA is so pleasant to visit. So fully 25% of downtown LA is dedicated to parking, 25%. So I ask you to think about this. If some of that land were reclaimed because autonomous vehicles are making that parking redundant, is that going to increase or decrease building values? It's certainly going to increase the density opportunity. But autonomous cars and trucks, as they near commercial development, are going to be a policy hot potato. And all of us have a part in determining not just how we permit this technology to be deployed, but where and to what ends. And it'll affect our property values. Now, blockchain is another technology around which there's currently a lot of buzz. Blockchains are simply databases in the form of ledgers. This diagram was prepared by Deloitte, so I wanted to give them credit. And on the conventional ledger on the left shows how many of these systems work today, which is with a government-supervised intermediary. In this case, it's showing a bank, but that could be a title registry, or it could be any kind of database that has a supervised intermediary. Now, in response to Benjamin's concerns that the government gets it wrong no matter what, one of the things that's so powerful about blockchain is there's no government-supervised intermediary. So basically, the technology itself gives the integrity of the system. How it works is the blockchain, a block is a piece of encrypted data. and it's time-stamped, and it goes into a chain, and all the transactions are attached to each other, and a zip file of all of the encrypted chain is on every single person in the blockchain's computer, wherever they are on the planet Earth. So you can't actually tamper with it because you'd have to know where all those computers are, and you'd have to go into every single record. And each record is locked with an encryption key that can only be opened by the person who put it out there. So believe it or not, the financial intermediaries have approved this as a system with integrity, and this is the system that Bitcoin is based on. There's an interesting article in this morning's paper about the rise of Bitcoin, which is surging in China and Japan in terms of its use. Now, this technology is also referred to as a distributed ledger, and it's super useful. As opposed to just being available for cryptocurrencies, it's really, really useful for a wide variety of activities, many of which we're involved in. In fact, there's an experiment going on right now in Sweden and Brazil where they're using the blockchain for a title registry because the process is super expensive and it's not particularly reliable in those locations. So, due to its broad uses and low cost, people believe that this technology will quickly spread to many areas of the economy, a few of which are listed here. Now, whether the impact of this technology will increase or decrease space utilization is unknown. 4 key technologies that are behind these profound changes are shown on this slide. So digitization, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and robotic process automation are the things that are changing the way work gets done. Now, as we saw in the retail video and we saw in the industrial video, the real estate that houses these operations is going to have to change, both functionally and technologically. So you might have heard that a few years back, Target suffered a massive breach of customer data and credit card fraud. Now, did you know that that breach came from a hack that was performed at an individual store by tapping the energy management system, which shared the electrical panel with the cash registers? Now, if you think about this, we don't think we're in the cybersecurity business, but we are. And if you aren't taking cybersecurity seriously, you need to get somebody on your staff up the learning curve so that we can get a lot smarter about protecting personal privacy and the integrity of the operations of our tenants. So I wanted to talk about this particular application. How many people have heard of SETI? Anybody? Yeah, a couple, great. That actually stands for the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And this is since 1999, over 5 million people have volunteered to participate in this exercise. You can Google it at SETI at home. And how it works is that with the extra computing power at your home computer, you sign up, they put an encrypted program under the BOINC protocol onto your computer, and your computer gets an algorithm, and it is constantly assessing, believe it or not, radio waves from outer space. And the data is collected and assessed with artificial intelligence at UC Berkeley, and they amalgamate this from all over the world. So this is the sort of thing that is happening. Artificial intelligence, which I just illustrated with this particular diagram on the left, works this way with distributed systems, and it works best if those systems are dispersed across borders, across nationalities, across different kinds of people's interests. And this is a wave of the future. So as our tenants increasingly utilize artificial intelligence to inform their decisions, they're going to need connectivity of very different kinds than what we've provided in the past. They may want to access the computing power of their entire global footprint to roll up and analyze information, or they may want to use it the reverse direction to deliver outcomes and capture competitive advantages. So we need to be ready with facilities that can provide comfortable, cyber-secure, and smart environments that support this. So this is an example of a state-of-the-art building IoT system where all of the systems in the building are operated by one artificial intelligence computing core. So from a perimeter security perspective, this actually has more cyber integrity because it's easier to defend one external point. But from an internal security standpoint, if you were going to hack the building from the inside, because all the systems are connected and share a core, if you get into any one of them, you can get into all of them. So we have a lot to think about and to learn about as we move forward.
So we're going to go ahead and get your baseline started from the body scanner first. So let's go ahead and do that.
Visiting Forward's office is a lot like going to a spa or a high-end gym, only packed with cutting-edge biometric gizmos. A body scanner collects things like your height, weight, pulse, and body temperature, which all gets sent to this expensive-looking touchscreen for you and your doctor to review. Everything you say to your doctor is picked up by voice recognition software and added to your record, with the help of technicians behind the scenes listening in.
So how are you sleeping?
I sleep okay. Even finding a vein is future-tastic.
Here we use this really neat technology called near infrared light.
That's sweet. Back in the lab, Forward analyzes your blood and sequences DNA from your spit to predict your medical future.
So we have 30 different mutations that we tested for, and all of these mutations confer a much increased risk of cancer. But looks like everything came back negative, so that's great. We reviewed all of your systems, we have a care plan for you, and a summary of this entire visit will come to you via your app.
So as of Christmas, the Government of Canada reported that there are now 81,000 high-technology startups operating in Canada, many of them here in Toronto or in Montreal. So one thing we know for certain is that new industries are springing up all around us to exploit these new technologies. And some of these people are performing their work in temporary and co-working environments. So I think the brilliance of co-working is that the opportunity for people who are working in different parts of the economy to brainstorm about how to provide solutions and outcomes in different ways. So in conclusion, when we think about the properties that we own and properties that we're going to build, we need to be thinking about more than the space itself and how it will accommodate the evolving models of work. We need to be thinking about future technical demands, including how much power and cooling to install, how to become greener, and we got to think a lot about how to become more cyber secure. We also need to be mindful about where work will get done, how our locations are connected, what services and products will be rendered, and what outcomes our customers are going to need property to deliver. So I started by saying I'm an optimist, and I am. I think that some uses may continue to migrate from office to retail or retail to industrial, and entire functions might even migrate from like office buildings to data centers, but I still believe I'm an optimist. We're standing on the precipice of the most exciting and opportunistic time of my real estate career, and I believe the future will bring more prosperity, mainly through integration of technology, and fill us with a world of wonder and high performance. So like many of you, I grew up watching Star Trek and Star Wars, and I am so excited to go make it happen. Please join me.